Hi, this is Sriniti. My presentation is all about the character sketch of Huckleberry Finn in the novel The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which was written by Mark Twain, the American writer. Here is a small introduction of Mark Twain, the author. Samuel Legon Clemens was known by his pen name Mark Twain. He was born on November 30th, 1835, in Florida. He was sixth of seven children born to Jane and John Marshall Clemens. He was an humorist, entrepreneur, publisher, and lecturer. In The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, he had used a fictional town named St. Petersburg. This was inspired by the town of Mississippi River. At those times, slavery was legally moved around and thus became the theme of these writings. He died on 21st April 1910 at Reddings, Connecticut, United States. Before getting into the character sketch of Huckleberry Finn, I would like to present the plot of this novel. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain is about the young boy Huck in search of freedom and adventure. The shores of the Mississippi River provide the backdrop for the entire book. Huck is kidnapped by Pap, his drunken father. Pap kidnaps Huck because he wants Huck's $6,000. Huck was awarded $6,000 from the treasure he and Tom Sawyer found in the Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Huck finally escapes from the deserted house in the woods and finds a canoe to shove off down the river. Instead of going back to the widow's house, he decides to run away. He is sick of all of the confinements and civilization that the widow enforces upon him. He comes across Jim, Miss Watson's slave, and together they spend nights and days journeying down the river, both in search of freedom. While traveling on the raft down the river, Huck and Jim have many adventures and during many long talks became best of friends. They find a horse with a dead man. They end up stealing many things from the house. They find a wrecked ship and go on it, only to be mixed up with the murders. They get away with the money and some of other goods. They get separated from each other in the heavy fog, but eventually find each other. A steamboat crashes into their raft, and Jim and Huck were separated again. Huck has a run-in with the Grangerfords and the Shepherdsons, two families at war with each other. He is reunited with Jim shortly after this. Then they meet the king and the duke and get into a good deal of trouble performing plays. The king and the duke pretend to be the Peter Wilkes long-lost brothers from England and try to steal all the money left behind in his will. They escape before they are caught. Huck finally gets rid of them but is left to search for Jim, who gets sold by the king. He ends up at the Tom Sawyer's aunt Sally's house, where the Tom and Huck rescue Jim. Through all the adventures down the river, Huck learns a variety of life lessons and improves as a person. He develops a conscience and truly feels for humanity. The complexity of his character is enhanced by his ability to relate so easily with the nature and the river. And next, here is the character sketch of Huckleberry Finn. From the beginning of the novel, Twain makes it clear that Huckleberry Finn is the protagonist and the narrator of the novel. Huck is a 13-year-old boy who comes from the lowest level of the white society and son of a drunkard named Pap Finn at Missouri, a town on the Mississippi River, and who had disappeared for months on the end. Huck is thoughtful, intelligent, though formally uneducated, and willing to come to his own conclusions about the important matters, even if these conclusions contradict the society's norms. Huck himself is dirty and frequently homeless. Huck is still a boy and is influenced by the others, like his father, Papfin, and the widow Douglas, and particularly by his friend Tom. He doesn't like to lead his life with his father, who is very crucial. The society or the community failed to protect him from his father, and though the widow Douglas finally gives the Huck some of the schoolings and religious training. Huck's natural intelligence and his willingness to think through the situations or its non-merits lead him to some conclusion that are correct in his context but that would shock with the society. For example, Huck discusses when he and Jim met a group of slave hunters that telling a lie is sometimes the right course of action. Because of his background, more than applying the rules that he has been taught, he creates his own rules. He then still struggles on the opinion formed before obtaining the adequate evidence about the blacks that the society has ingrained in him. And at the end of the novel, he shows himself all too willing to follow the Tom Sawyer's lead. However, finally, Huck symbolizes the struggle between a person and his conscience as well as between the society and the free thinking. Thank you.